welcome into the studio. That's Todd, I'm Hudson, and this is Todd's Tips. So if you're new to the channel, or if you're not, you know that this is the video where Dad gives us tips based off of his voiceover journey, his voiceover business, and he's going to bring some today for us. So Dad's been in voiceover for 14 years. He has eclipsed $200,000 7 years in a row in just voiceover, and six figures 8 years in a row. So anyway.
Makes me tired just thinking about it.
It kind of does, actually. But anyway, that just gives a little bit of credence to his name, as I always say, not bragging. Excuse me, not bragging at all. Just kind of keys you into like, oh, okay, you know, this guy might have something to say that you can use. Maybe something you haven't thought about before, or maybe something that's different from what a lot of people in the industry say. So incline your ear and see what you can get from this.
You know, we talk often about our numbers. We talk about my numbers, your numbers. And what we're doing is we're just trying to have a transparent conversation with you about what we make. Some people say that's bragging. Some people say that's none of your business. Some people say that makes me feel bad. Some people say, you know, that's the comparison game, whatever. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to have an honest conversation with people in an industry that I don't think is very transparent, to be quite honest with you. And so what we've done here, when Hudson decided to come home from his chosen field that he graduated college from during the pandemic and start a voiceover career, we said, you know, what we're going to do is we're going to see if what I've been doing for 14 years, or at that point 12 years or 11 and a half years, works. And so
we're going to document that process.
Yeah, and so that's what we're doing. And that's why during our numbers portion, we share that with you so that you can see, is this worth even thinking about? Because honestly, I don't want to be just another talking head. There are a lot of them now, a lot of so-called coaches who have all sorts of things to sell you. And up to this point, we haven't sold you anything other than these free videos. And so what we're trying to do is just be transparent. And if that is offensive, or if you don't like that, I don't know what to do about that. Some people enjoy it. Some people are encouraged. Some people think it's informative. And so we're just going to keep doing it because it's something we think needs to happen and we believe in it.
Well, and we want to be an encouragement to people.
Correct.
Not that we're trying to, like you said, discourage people by saying, oh, wow, that seems like a lot of money. But this year, I'm hopefully going to get over $40,000 in the voiceover world. That's pretty normal in the voiceover world. So anyway, just being able to see the day in and day out struggle, you know.
I might disagree with you in that it's pretty normal because according to the latest surveys out by the National Association of Voice Actors back in just this last spring, about 76% of full-time voiceover talent actors don't make over $40,000 a year. So making over 40 puts you in the 24 percentile. Anyway, we don't want to go on and on, but the money is to be transparent, and it's to, again, make you just stop and say, you know, is this somebody that maybe I can learn something from? Then we have these caveats that you see here that cause you to stop in a different way and say, okay, not everybody's journey is the same. Not everybody has to do things the same. And that's kind of one of my pet peeves here is there are some coaches out there saying, if you don't do this, you're wrong. If you don't do this, you know, then you're a non-pro, you're an amateur.
Or you're doing that and it's not making you money, but that's how I did it. So that's right.
Right. So we put these caveats so that you'll slow down and just apply the things that I talk about in a careful and, quiet, humble way. So I'm in the process of writing a book. And the book is The 7 Building Blocks of Voiceover Success. And the bottom block, the most foundational building block, is who are you going to listen to? Everybody has to decide that in their life. It might be a parent or guardian. It might be a coach. It might be a mentor of some sort. It might be a professor, whatever, a counselor, pastor. You have to listen to somebody, even if that's just yourself. That's why that's the bottom foundational thing. You have to decide who you're going to listen to. And that's why I'm writing the book, and that's why we come to you with these things, and we're transparent about these things. So finally, we're talking about that bottom rung on the building blocks, the foundation. Today we're talking about who you're going to listen to. And my title is, in these do's and don'ts, is I don't like people who present their strong opinions, but who forget the excluded middle position. I'll read that again. I don't like people who present their strong opinions, but who forget the excluded middle position. Now, I'm generally a pretty agreeable person, a pretty nice person. I don't really like conflict. I kind of like my world, and I just live in it. And I'm not trying to harangue coaches all the time, be aggressive toward them and lecture them. But this happens a lot. It happens in love, it happens in religion, it happens in politics, and yes, it happens in voiceover, the arguing against the excluded middle. I recently heard a well-known VO coach talk about the fallacy of auditions being a numbers game. He was going to speak against that idea. His point was to tear down the viewpoint that people can get better in voiceover by doing lots of auditions. Now, he rightly pointed out that doing things over and over and over again in a poor way won't change the result. You'll just keep pumping out bad auditions.
Fair.
Yeah,
That's
very
fair.
fair. Good point. You must have feedback, and you can't get that from auditions, only from a reputable coach. Notice he will define a reputable coach, who that is, and of course, he is a reputable coach. Anyway, he provides a very effective strategy. Argue against the excluded middle. There are only two options, he says, basically. That's his argument. One, do tons of auditions poorly and be garbage at voiceover. That's one option. Or get coaching from him and others, reputable coaches he approves of, and become successful in your auditioning and in your voiceover career. You see, the
You're
excluded
either bad
middle,
or you're not.
right. So, but there is an excluded middle. Get coaching and do lots of auditions. That's one option. Or here's another one. How about this one? Don't get formal coaching, like I did or didn't. Learn and grow in your craft as you work and make money hand over fist. And by the way, I'm not the only one that has done this. There are other people I know. I don't know how many of there are of us who have more earned while you learned. I don't know how many. You're doing that, and you're getting coaching too, because you're watching me and we're talking all the time. And I got coaching. I just didn't pay for it. I watched people. I listened to their free videos for the most part, and I just learned as I earned, or earned while I learned.
That too.
Yeah. So here are a few other arguments you may hear that leave out the excluded middle. A USB mic equals bad sound, low budgets, but an excellent, expensive mic equals good sound and being a pro. You're still on a USB mic, aren't you?
That I am.
And he's almost into the top 24%. Now, I like microphones, and I think it's important to get good microphones. And you've got one, and you're going to employ it pretty soon. But nevertheless, you can still make money doing it.
I've never had a a client say, "Are you using a USB mic?" Never had that.
Yep. You have a quiet space.
I can tell you've got a USB mic.
Yep.
Nobody's ever said that.
You have a quiet space. You had a hobo fort with moving blankets, and you have found a quiet
closet,
space,
yep.
and you had a USB mic. Again, I'm not telling you do all of your voiceover with USB mics. That's not my point. It's just be careful when you hear people like this, when they argue and say, you're a pro if you use pro equipment, you're an amateur if you use a USB mic. Just be careful.
It's still professional equipment.
It's their opinion. And you just have to be careful of that. Here's another one. You are either a pro VO talent or you work on Fiverr and Upwork. That's arguing against the excluded middle. I consider myself a pro voiceover talent. I work on Fiverr and Upwork. How about this? You must charge industry standard rates, an arbitrary rate guide still, because there's no, the VO gods never sent down a rate guide. So
The rate commandments.
the rate commandments. And so it's arbitrary. It might be a lot of people agreeing, fine. So you have to charge industry standards, or you aren't a pro VO talent. See the missing excluded middle? You either constantly chase work, in other words, you go after work, you do direct marketing, you go on platforms and stuff, or you create content and you do videos and you do a website that people will come to. You have people come to you. It's just one or the other. Well, no, it can be both. It can be a combination of both. You do things according to the standard operating procedures of the in-group, the cool kids in voiceover, or you are a chucklehead who hurts the VO industry. See, just two sides of things, always arguing against the excluded middle. You see the pattern? Provide only two options and make the opposing option appear ridiculous. This same VO coach I mentioned earlier recently said this: the people who tend to complain and blame the most have usually failed to make a significant investment in their career. They operate in the bargain basement of the industry, making bottom dollars, which helps them on places like Fiverr. I have very little sympathy for their laments. You're either an amateur or you're a pro. See him providing the no middle group for people like you and maybe me, certainly me, and probably you. I think I'm a pro, yet I'm on Fiverr and I do work for lower rates sometimes. See, coaches like these continue to bellyache about how the VO industry is divided and needs to come together, and yet they employ these tactics that continue to disparage lots of pro voiceover talents like me. And so I just hear that and I have to answer that. Maybe I don't have to answer it in front of the camera. Maybe I should just leave it well enough alone. But I think that that's the transparency, and then not holding people to the standard of having this opinion being so strong without representing anything on the other side. It's something that after 14 years, I've just had to come out and talk about. So I hope you put up with that. Again, I'm not saying I'm completely right. I don't think I have everything right. Obviously, I'm still learning. But I think I just want you to be careful who you're listening to. That's the bottom foundational thing in my book of the 7 building blocks of VO success. Who will I listen to? You have to choose that. Well, I've had to.
There are other voices out there that might help you become a professional voiceover talent, or that you might otherwise say, oh, well, I can't be a voiceover talent because of this or that. That's maybe not true. So anyway, thanks for bringing that. If you want to see more videos like that, you can go to our Todd's Tips playlist and check out all of the Todd's Tips we've done, many of them in the past. And then we've also got a new viewer question out. It's about Dad's journey. So if you want to find out more about Dad and how he got started and what his 14 years have looked like, go check out that in the listener VO questions. And then up next, we have our numbers. You can see how we all did. Just a caveat, the boys were on vacation, the 3 VOMP boys, or 2 VOMP boys, whatever you want to say, and they're going to add this week's numbers to next week just because they just got home and stuff like that. So they'll be checking in soon, and we'll see you for numbers. Thanks for watching.